Hey there, welcome back to the table. So I sampled portions of my 3-hour setup video. My apologies there. It's a monster game. I don't know what else to say. The audio seemed to be fantastic. So the computer upgrade, I think, was the right way to go. I am loving the fact that I'm now wireless on my camera, so that's really good. Okay, so we did set up, and let's address a couple of comments that are in the comment section. The first one is Nigel, the designer of the game, found this channel and made some very nice comments. So first of all, I want to, I responded to him directly there, but I want to just say again, it's always an honor when a designer joins us at the table. I very humbly never expect that to happen. Dean Brown with DVG has done it several times. Ricky Royal, actually, he's not I guess technically he is a designer, but Ricky Royal joined once. Actually the guy who made D-Day Omaha, or Iwo Jima, joined, and he was very, very nice guy. So always fun to hear from the designers. And unfortunately, he took away my bragging rights because I was talking about how Paul Grogan needed 2 guys to help him play solo. And now I technically have a designer in my chat. So therefore, I can't say that I did it all by myself now. So, but still, very, very glad to have him. Second question was that my fallen houses need to have at least 1 broken glass, and there are 4 fallen houses chosen. One of them is on the board, but right here, there's the broken glass Dunlork. See, energy cells and orbital locks, and right there, orbital docks and energy cells are the 2 technology that are on the board. So we did choose a broken glass. It just needs to be one of the 4. So so we're good to go there. The next one is a comment about the fallen house. So it does have 2 population, which we did correctly, but the question is they also have 2 installations, so why didn't I put those on? That's because per the rules, those 2 installations are in addition to anything that actually shows up in the sector. So you could theoretically have 5 defense installations if everything was filled in. So so that's the reason. They have 2, yes, but that's 2 plus whatever's here. You don't take those 2 and then put them there, because then that would imply that they have 4. So I think that covered all the questions so far in the comments. I mean, the video is only like 12 hours old, so I'm sure more comments are going to come in. Okay, so now we're going to get into the business of playing the game. So, I can't assume that people watch the 3-hour setup. So we're going to back up a little bit. And so what is the goal of the game? Well, we got to score points. And those points are going to be based off of this crisis board here. So we're going to play against an easy bot, which means that they're going to get 60 points out of the get-go, or 100, or 140. And then you got 30, 20, 20. There's all these other ways that they score points. And we can get into all those. They make more sense once you get a feel for how the game works. But just understand they have other ways of scoring points. Actually, let's go through it real quick. So this one here is 30 points for controlling that sector there, which is called a rift. And then the next one is 20 points for each of these safe havens that are not full. So we have 2 safe havens in the game, and they each have 2 boxes. So I got to put 4 cubes here to prevent them from scoring points. If I put 2 cubes in this one, then they'll only get 20 points for that one. If I have 1 cube in each, then they're going to get 40 points because it has to be completely filled up in order for you to prevent them from scoring points. So these safe havens are a co-op solo thing. They don't exist in PvP. least to my understanding. Okay, these are catastrophe cards, or tokens. There's only 3 of them in the game. If you get a 4th one, you automatically lose. But for every one you do have, they get 20 more points. Now, this is... the ways you get these tokens are numerous. And sometimes very tempting, because you can take one to avoid another disaster. So that's interesting. 10 for every Harbinger token. And the Harbinger tokens, there's currently 5 of them on the board. And then you can also get them on the Crisis deck itself. And we'll get into that later. 5 for any technology that is consumed. I don't know what the mechanism that causes it. It's going to be an event or something. But when we have to resolve a consumed technology, that means that the AI is going to take one of our 8 technology cards, or if it's white, one of the advanced technology cards, and consume it, which means it's out of the game. But what we do is we set it next to this crisis board or whatever, and that's going to be points for the AI. This next one is 5 for, I think it's every sector that is Voidborn controlled. I'll have to look that up real quick. Let me do that now. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 5 for every crisis card. See, these spots are crisis card spots. So 5 points for every crisis card that's on this board. This is 3 for every fallen house that has not been conquered. And there's only 1 fallen house in our game. 2 for every corruption token in the game, whether it's on our board or on the thing. There is a technology that holds corruption tokens, and you don't count that. I don't know if that technology is in our playthrough. I can't remember what it's called, but there is a certain technology that's an exception to the rule. And then this one is for every population that is Voidborn. So that would mean that, you know, unconquered sectors, right, are going to have population, and that's going to be a ×1. And then, yeah. So that's basically it. So they'll score for all these variety of reasons. Obviously, these are the big scoring ones. Here, these could be big scoring if there's numerous amounts. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and rock and roll. Now, the flow of the game, or for us, as I explained while we were setting up, let me back up. So it is a point scoring thing, and we have to score more points than the AI who has these, you know, predetermined ways. For us, we need to score, the primary way we can score points is through agenda cards. And we start with an agenda here, and we talked about this in the setup, but we'll go through this again. This represents resources. And for my resource board, which is this guy, right now I have, like, for example, 3, 3, 3, right, of these resources. If I ever have 8 or more resources on my board, when it's time to do this check, for every resource that I have 8 or more of, I'm going to score 3 points. So I want to make sure I have a lot of resources stockpiled. And then this one over here says that for every sector that's pure, meaning no corruption, and I have 3 or more guilds that are not the same, so I could have an energy guild, a materials guild, and a food guild. They got to be 3 different types. For every sector that has 3 different types, I can score 5 more points. That's going to be a little harder, but I can at least make my home sector satisfy that fairly easily. My home sector only has 1. Actually, here's the other, well, never mind. I was going to say the other problem is my home sector only has 2 guild spots, but that's not an issue for us because we have arc ships here. Arc ships allowed us to build 2 additional guilds in our home sector. That's our technology we chose at the start of the game. So there's an opportunity to score 5 points or 10 or 15, and then, you know, various multiples of 3. Okay, the only way you can score agendas is you can't have a corruption marker on it. So if I put an agenda here and this corruption marker is there, I don't get to score points. So you must be corruption free. This particular agenda is not allowed to ever have a corruption, so we will always have this one. If we conquer a sector, So let's say we come up with a way to defeat this, right? When we defeat it, we're going to gain the glory token that's there, and then it gets added to our glory token pool. So I'm just going to grab from the supply here. So let's say we defeated that sector. We add this to our pool. Now we have 4 total points. We're going to gain 4 points. And then let's say I have both of these and I defeat another sector that has a 3. Now I'm going to gain 7 points. There's a certain spot in your turn where you have to discard these because you're never allowed to have more than 4 when you reach that point. You can temporarily be more than 4. And when let's say we have 4 of them, in fact. So let's say it looks like this, and then I get a 1 because I defeat another sector. I actually get to go 4 plus 3 is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I get to gain 12 points. And then at the end of my turn, I got to discard down to 4, and I can choose to discard the 1, which is the only one. It's a no-brainer here. But you always get rid of your smallest one, of course. But that's the thing. There's a nice way to score points militarily, and I think it's showcasing how you can do this multiple ways, right? The scoring of points. The other thing that scores you points is if we do a produce action, and it has to be an action of produce. It doesn't mean you're gaining resources. If at any point in time I'm at 15, which is the maximum number of resources, and I produced more, which would cause me to go to 16, it doesn't matter how many more, it just needs to be at least 1 more. You gain 3 influence, and that's what this little thing here. And that's for each resource. So if I have all these resources at 15 and I do a produce of all my resources, I can gain 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 points all in one shebang. I don't know if that's possible, but you know, if the action lets you produce all those resources at the same time, you could theoretically score 15 points, just bam, like that. Now, if another action gives me 3 resources and I'm already at 15, I don't get influence. It's only if you overproduce. You have to do the produce action. So that's very critical. Now, I'm emphasizing this because we chose a complicated race. According to the designer, it's not one that he would have recommended for a new person, but that's okay. We like challenges. This one in particular, this overproducing thing is something you're going to want to exploit and take advantage of. So that's something we're going to do probably regularly, and it's going to be a big source of points for us. Okay, as far as the game itself goes, it follows a flow, and this is the part I don't like because this is like all the way over on the other end of my table here. But let me put the camera down, and the flow of the game, grabbed a pen. So first of all, there's 3 cycles. And then for each cycle, we're going to start with an A, and then a B, and a C. Those are phases of the cycle, okay? The terminology is important because it's a little backwards for me. Within this B phase, you're going to take what's called rounds. There's going to be multiple rounds, and then each round you take 1 turn. So you could say that a round is synonymous with a turn. I think that's fair, but the rulebook doesn't do that. It does distinctly separate round versus turn, and maybe there might be an exception. I'm just not thinking of in the rules where it matters. But for now, I mean, just understand that that's the terminology. So in cycle 1, in phase A, we do all these, steps, and you can see there's a lot here. We skip nearly all of it, and we start at step 4 here of phase A. However, we do, and this is showing how to build the alert deck, which is already built right now. So there's our alert deck, and we are going to draw an alert card as a part of this phase. We do that right away. And then we're going to draw an event card, which is going to go here, and then that event card is going to have a number here in the top right that shows how many rounds we have. So for every round, we're going to do these steps here. And then once all that's done, we do C, which is like the Voidborn turn, It's when the enemy gets to go. And it's also, that's when we get to score some points. We get to score some points in this phase too, but there's an opportunity to score points here. And actually right here, you can see there's a line that goes straight across to the event. So here is where you would score points for your agenda and the events. And yeah, that's it. There's a lot of symbology. I would actually struggle to tell you what every single thing means, but I do have it, the gist, and of course the rulebook so far is excellent. There's a lot of rules. That's the problem. So it's very easy to forget a rule that you just read, but I did feel like that every time I read the rulebook, it was clear. And then there's a glossary that makes things even clearer. So again, just like I did for the setup, we're going to take our time. We're going to go slow. And some people, that's going to drive them nuts. Just understand, I didn't ask you to come here. And I only say that preemptively because some people, for whatever reason, whenever they're driven nuts by a video, they feel the urge to complain about it when it's like, dude, I never asked you to come here in the first place. I did post it, so you're all welcome to join me at the table, but I mean, I don't want to hear complaints like that. If you think I did something wrong, of course, point it out because it always helps everybody who's trying to learn the game. Yeah, beyond that, let's get started. So let me grab some caffeine and then we'll rock and roll. Okay, so off we go. So in the very first cycle, everything is already set up. We skip everything. We just grab the first event card, which is here for cycle 1. This is cycle 2, cycle 3. Remember, we shuffled these. I'm just going to take the top card, and the rest are out of the game. And you could theoretically do the same thing with these other ones. I don't see any harm in it. I mean, maybe there's something I don't understand, but you're only using one for each cycle. So that way you can clear up some of your, I mean, heck, we could even make just a single pile, right? That's at least a little more efficient. So anyways, let me put the camera down here. So here we go. We have, this is stuff that has to happen right now. This is the number of rounds. And then this is actually a scoring opportunity at the end of the 5 rounds. And that scoring opportunity will occur, as you can see here, in step C, or phase C. When we resolve this, we'll resolve that. So we have until we get to here to meet whatever conditions there are there to score points. So I'm going to bring this actually back to where I'm sitting comfortably instead of leaning over my table. And then let's analyze this. So this says that all players, there's only one of us, we get to, I believe that is, we get to create a guild, which is awesome because we happen to be a race that wants to make lots of guilds. And we're also going to deploy a fleet or a Voidborn power fleet or cube on, oh, it's not on ours, it's on an adjacent Voidborn sector with the lowest population. Okay, so what's a Voidborn sector? It's anywhere that has a Voidborn presence. So adjacent for us would be these 3 spots. And then the lowest population is the one at the top here. And you can see that's a 2. So what it's saying is we are going to add another fleet. So they get another cube. Just going to make them harder to destroy. And then we get to deploy a guild of some type there. I don't know exactly what kind I want to put, but I don't see any reason why I can't just put another material one. We're going to make it so when we produce, we're going to produce a lot. We don't control that. That's in case we ever take it over. Oh, it's an or. I'm sorry. We can do that, or we can put 2 glory and a basically a defense installation on the adjacent Voidborn sector with the highest population, which would be one of these 2. So we can put 2 more glory, which, now the key thing to understand here is it doesn't mean that we turn this into a 4. It would be 2 glory tokens. it's very important because you're only allowed to have 4 glory tokens, and 1 4 is more powerful than 2 2s in that regard. But in this case, it'd be 2 2s. And then, of course, there would be an extra defense. I actually like the way we did it, putting the guild and the extra cube. I like that more than the installation thing. I don't know if that's going to change the way we start our game. Because here's the deal. I definitely saw how military expansion can be very beneficial. And in fact, it's one of the things I think we eventually need to do, because we got to go take that final sector, or the AI scores 30 points. But if you're going the economic route, which is what we're an economic race, it's really hard to do everything at once, right? You got to pick and choose your battles. But anyways, that's done. And then this here is an optional thing, which usually means it's good. So what this is we can deploy that's a fleet token. We can deploy a fleet to the board, which means we create a corvette, or we can upgrade one of our glory tokens by 1. So that is definitely a beneficial one for us, and it's either or. So we have a 2, and what they're basically saying is we can change that to a 3. So that is going to give us permanent effects. Every time we score points on our glory tokens, we're always going to get 1 more point than normal. And since this is the very start of the game, this has compound interest potential. This is actually a really good time to take that option. The other one, what they're telling us is we can take one of these, and we're going to get a free, like I can make a 3rd corvette out here, because right now we have 2, right? So I can make that a 3rd. That's going to help us to conquer and do the things that we need to do. This is actually a very difficult choice, but I think I'm going to, I think, you know, points are the name of the game here, so we're going to go for the points this time. And we're going to upgrade to a 3, because that's just there's not a lot of opportunities to do something like that. Okay, so then we're going to go through 5 rounds where we're going to basically, you know, do step 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do this 5 times. Well, step 0 is always to draw from the alert deck. And then we do whatever it says here. And then we're going to play a focus card. We could use a trade token. And then we have agenda stuff we can do. Excuse me. And then we have the crisis card to contend with, which is just saying that we can resolve the crisis card at any time. Here, we deal with some end of turn effects, which are things like, for example, I can only have 1 corvette fleet per sector, but I can temporarily have 2 corvette fleets. But here, I need to fix it. And in this case, I could easily just put the cube there and we're done. Otherwise, I could possibly lose cubes, etc. And then down here, we got the crisis board. We have to resolve whatever, you know, that is as well. And let's talk about that. So first thing we do before we start our turn is we draw from the alert deck. The alert deck is a no-brainer right now. It's all 1s. It doesn't matter. We know what it is. So it's a very simple deck right now. So we're going to draw that 1. And of course, it just gets discarded. And then what you do is you take this deck of cards and we draw one of them. I'm going to shuffle real quick. So this will be our crisis for this turn. And I'm drawing this guy. Okay, a couple of things to understand. The alert, or the crisis card, is going to go next to, this actually goes here, like that. This is going to go next to the board, and if I can resolve this crisis this round, then I get a bonus, which is what this green check mark is. So after you remove an installation, or actually create an installation, choose to also spend 1 energy. You may not use credits. Okay, I'm sorry. That's how you resolve this and make this go away. And then normally there's a bonus at the bottom, but I don't see one in this case. So maybe there's no actual bonus for doing this, other than it's just going to be detrimental when you put it up here. The next thing to know is that it has a military symbol, which matches this on the board. So if I fail to mitigate this by the end of my round, remember there's 5 rounds here, so I'm going to go through 5 of these cards. If I fail to mitigate it, it's going to go up here. It has to. Sometimes it can go on either, if it's a different symbol, or if it's this symbol, it has to go down here. And then, of course, that's going to cause, when we deal with skirmishes with the enemy, it's going to add, you always look at the empty space. So right now there's no cubes, no Voidborn are going to attack us, or no additional Voidborn. But if this is here, and we get to the spot where the Voidborn are going to engage us, they get a +1. And if we got cards here and here, we're going to get a +2 and so forth. So this is one of those things where you have to resolve it. Now again, I'm stretching across the table, so I want to sit down and be a little bit more comfortable. So this is, I believe, we have to create an installation. So like we can make a, and it's not just any installation, it's the defense sector or whatever it's called. One of the things the designer tried to help me understand is like that arrow that's pointing down like that means you're deploying one or you're getting one. And it's a build and installation. And this is a sector defense. So this is a good thing. We can build a sector defense and we spend 1, we'll make this card go away, no problem. Otherwise, I can put it on the board, like I said, and it'll be on the board, and then later in the game I can get rid of it. Otherwise, what I could do is I could accept whatever this is. So this is a Voidborn thing, and I'd have to look at the symbology again, because I'm trying to understand what that is. So let me see if I can find it real quick. We know for a fact it's Voidborn, and then see how it shows like it's surrounding a sector. Basically, they're going to get cubes on all the. I don't know. This tells me it looks like it's going to be like every sector around you, or that's adjacent to whatever sector you choose, is going to gain a cube, which is horrible. That means everybody's going to get more powerful. And of course, this power leak actually is in the glossary, so maybe I'm better served going there. Okay, so I found this symbol here. It is not everyone, it's just one adjacent sector gets a cube. Well, that's better. That's not as horrible as I thought. And then the thing with the little arrows pointing down, that's what I'm trying to... I see a bunch of symbols, but I don't see that one. This is a crisis. I think this means to get rid of the crisis card, which is what I was talking about. So you can discard the crisis card if you do that. So we're gonna, if you put a cube adjacent to you, that'll allow you to discard the card. So then it doesn't go on the board. That's all that's saying. Okay, I'm good. Boy, you just get like, it's really easy to get nervous here because like you got the rules, they're in your head. And, you know, I'm thinking, okay, I got this. And then it's like, you know, all right. So that's our crisis. I don't think we're going to be able to mitigate that. So now let's talk about what do we do for our turn? Okay, so we're going to start, it's going to be our turn. And we get to play any one of these 8 focus cards. The 9th one is already in our discard pile. We don't get that back until the beginning of cycle 2. So one of the focus cards here, let me find it. I don't know them by name yet, so I'm looking like this one here, reinforcement. So if I do the mobilize one, I get to do both of these. This lets me move ships. It's almost like Risk rules. If you play the game of Risk, you can move troops within territories you control, but you can't invade with this move. And then right there, I can deploy an installation, a point or a sector defense installation. So the moment I do this action, I can pay 1 credit and get rid of that. So I'd have to do this reinforcement thing. And it's not awful, because look, up here I can move on my civilization track, one of them, and do that. This isn't horrible. So we may want to just keep that in our back pocket. Moving up the civilization track is useful for us. So it can be very overwhelming, folks, because we got a lot of things right here in front of us. So what exactly are we going to do? Well, first of all, we have to understand we're going to be doing 5 of these. Now, we're going to get a crisis card. It is possible that we it basically just, there's no benefit here with any of these, other than you're just getting rid of the card. I thought some of them had benefits, but maybe they don't. It's okay. All right, so we could go after this round. This is not going to be horrible for the reasons. So let's talk about this. So if I choose to play this focus card, I'm going to get to choose 2 of the 3 actions. I can only get the 3rd action if I play a trade token, which I don't have at this time. There are ways to get trade tokens, but like this one, that's getting a trade token. But I got to play politics instead. All right, so this here is saying I get to move any of these 3 up 1 on the track. And if you'll notice, there's actually a lot of options here. This one here is I can build a installation. So I can actually go here and create a sector defense. Plus I get to deploy, or I get to activate a cube, which moves it over here to the active spot. This here allows me to improve a population by 1, only for a clean sector. And then this here will let me get 2 coins. Eventually, if I get to these ones, which are the ones I want to gun for, I get to deploy a guild for free. So moving up the civilization tracks are not awful. So I could, by doing this here, accomplish getting the sector defense. And then it says, see, that's a plus or a minus. I get to also deploy a sector defense. I get to do both. I can deploy multiple sector installations. So what I would do is I would deploy this one and then maybe like build a space yard or shipyard, which lets me produce troops or fleets. And see, and that's what this is. This lets you create fleets for every shipyard you have. So I would do this one first, get a shipyard out there, not because of this, but because of this, right? So this would let me make a shipyard, because it lets me choose anything. I can't do a star base because I don't have the star base technology. So it's either a sector defense or a shipyard. Those are my only 2 choices. And then it lets me move a cube from here over to here. Now the cost for doing this action is I'm going to lose a cube, which means I have to move a cube from here to there. So I'm actually it's going to pay for itself because this part here lets me move it back. All right. So I'm just planning this out for you to help you see. And then I would get this, which then if I spend the extra energy credit, I can get rid of the crisis card. Also, I can deploy more ships, which allows us to be more militarily ready. This isn't a horrible start. It's not an economic focused thing, but moving this track is getting us the direction we want to go from an economics focus. It does work for us. So let's think about this some more. Now this last one here, like I said, is letting you move your fleets around, and it also lets you deploy one. I would rather do these two because I want to move a track. That's more important for me for my long-term goals. And then this would allow us to get rid of the crisis card, and then this would allow us to put out more ships, which makes us tougher and more capable of, you know, taking over another sector or defending ourselves from attack. Either one is excellent. And the enemy will attack us, so getting one of these out there is not a bad idea either. So I like this one, so we're going to set this one as a very big possibility. Now, there's also one more thing before I get into all these other cards. On your turn, there is this thing called, you have a racial focus. So see how it's showing the gear and, I don't know, whatever that is. Those are symbols for cards. So for example, that's prosperity, and then the gear is production. So what it's saying is because let's say I play that card. That's going to go in my discard pile, and I don't get to do it ever again. Well, okay. I get to do it again in cycle 2 when I get my cards back. But see, we're going to get to take 5 turns or 5 rounds. So I can't play this card 5 times is what I'm getting at. I play it once, and then the other 4 times has to be whatever cards I have remaining. So what the racial feature here is saying is you can actually produce even if the card is played. So if this is in my discard pile, this is saying I can still produce. Now there's some caveats when you're using the racial focus or the house focus or whatever it's called. The first caveat is I can never use a trade token to do all 3. This is a basic action where I only get to pick 2 of the 3. And then the other thing is I don't get any bonuses. Like, for example, if I have an agenda card that requires this to be able to play the agenda card, it doesn't work that way. Because you only get to play it if you actually play a focus card with that symbol. This is just letting you do 2 actions and nothing more. So if there's other like side tangent benefits or whatever for playing a focus card, it also, we have these heroic focus cards. You can't use them when you're doing this, but it does let you do an action more than once. So, okay, so I have that set aside because it looks good, but I also want to look up here. We have heroic things. So we have heroic development, heroic conquest, and heroic temptation. Now, those are options that we can play. Like if we do a development card, we can upgrade it to a heroic development card if we want and get better benefits for our actions. So one of my strategies is, even though it does have a higher increased cost, I also think that it gives you a higher benefit as well. And this is a use it or lose it. So at the end of cycle 1, these cards get flushed. So this cycle 1 is the only opportunity to play those 3 cards. I don't know if it's a lost opportunity, but I look at it as, you know, we really want to consider implementing that in our strategy. So what is our strategy? Well, our strategy is to get guild tokens on our home world so we can produce a whole bunch of resources when we do a produce action. So let's talk about production and what that is. So production here is a pretty awesome one. Here you can see you're going to move 1 on this bottom track. So that's going to give us stuff. And then here you're going to produce only materials. So we'll be able to gain a bunch of materials. But remember, materials for us is a wild card. It's almost like coins. We can use it as any other type of material. So that is a very huge one. And like I said, we could do this card over and over again because that's our house focus. So we could do this like 5 times in a row if we wanted. This one, you spend 2 materials, and now we move up on that civilization track. So that's the middle one. And then the middle one here, we could also accomplish the same goal. So if I move up here, I get to deploy an installation, which could be a sector defense. So I don't have to play the reinforcement card necessarily. I can do the sector defense and still accomplish my goal. And see, there's more than one way to skin this cat, and that's what makes this game so interesting for me. And then here you're going to produce food and energy. Right now, food is the only one we have even a guild of. I don't have any energy at the moment. And then the last one is you spend a material, and we can move up on the last track, which is the topmost track. And this is one where I would obviously like to do all three. So should I go through all 8 of these to help you know what they all mean? I mean, they're going to start to make a lot more sense because you could tell that the squares with the arrows are tracks. Like you can see right here that for the politics, that's the same action as that one. So the thing I'm trying to impress upon you is I just showed you how we can mitigate that card using reinforcements. We could also mitigate it using production. There's more than one way to do it because we know that our civilization track gives us the ability to deploy a sector defense. And that's the key thing to mitigate that card. So as long as we can advance that track somehow, we're good. And then this also advances that track. I could play a politics card. And so that's 3 cards now. 3 different focus cards that can accomplish the same thing. This one would let us upgrade our glory token, which is interesting. And then it also lets you invade, which is also interesting. So that is actually a fantastic one, although it is expensive to play. So you upgrade your glory, and then you're going to gain glory if you win the invasion. And then this one here is you're going to gain a trade token, or you can move a corruption, or both. Because see, the green means you get to do both. So politics is pretty cool. Progress. Produce science. Generate a science guild. And it's one or the other. So obviously the first time we play it, we're going to want to do the bottom. Invent. This is gain a technology. Costs 2 science. And then restore. We're going to purge a production or a corruption, but we have to remove a fleet cube. So we'll destroy one of our corvettes, and then that gets to remove a corruption. That equal sign means it has to be where the corvette's located. So right now, our corvettes are located in 2 places that don't have corruption. So this is like a worthless action for us at the moment. Temptation. This is one of the ones. This is one of the ones that we have heroic. So let's pay attention to this one. So temptation is, oh, what is that again? That's a focus card. I need to look that up. 1 second. So we have the glossary book. And the temptation card, right here, it's called Exploit. Take 1 action from a preferred focus in your hand or discard pile, paying the cost and resolving the effects. From a preferred focus. A preferred focus is this, one of these 2. Okay, so that means I would get to take an action from that production card there, or we haven't reviewed it yet, but this prosperity card. So that's could be pretty handy. And so we have to pay whatever the cost is here, but it lets you do the action without actually spending the card, or I can do the action even if the card's in the discard pile. And then, of course, I still get to do other actions. Now, I'm going to grab the heroic temptation just for comparison. This one is going to let you do an action on somewhere else, but then you're going to gain 4 resources. But see, it cost me 4 resources to play it. So the key thing here is you might be saying to yourself, well, hold on, that means it's free. Yes, but you got to have the 4 resources just to initiate this. So if you don't have 4 resources, you can't do this at all. But assuming you have 4, you can just not even touch your dials, do this action, and then you get the 4 back. I mean, so you might be thinking, well, that's not worth a heroic temptation card. Well, it's free, and it doesn't really give you a different benefit, but maybe these other ones do, and that's what we would have to look at. So this next one is you're advancing a track, but see, you're going to gain a corruption. And gaining a corruption can be brutal. So the corruption, for example, the corruption on the population, population can't change if there's a corruption there. So you got to remove the corruption to be able to grow or change the population. Here, the corruption prevents your agenda cards from scoring. And then you can also have corruption on the track. So what that means is when I advance this down the track, I don't get the bonus at all. Whatever the bonus is, I skip it. So that could be pretty brutal. Now, I know one strategy is just go ahead and put them on there. Who cares about the bonus? But to me, I like those bonuses. So that's the brutal part. So this one, you're gaining a corruption somewhere. That's why it's called temptation. And then this one is even worse. You're gaining the corruption on one of your tracks, so it's specific. And then you get to advance that track that you put the corruption on. So that means you don't get whatever the bonus is. That's even worse. But it allows you to advance another track, or the same one. Now, there's other bonuses to advancing your tracks. So even though you don't get the bonus that's written on here, there is a bonus along the top as well. And then also there's victory points if you get to the end. So there's reasons you sometimes want to advance those tracks without necessarily caring about the reward. So then the last one here is, again, you're gaining a corruption. This lets you gain a fleet power and then deploy a fleet in your home world. That's what the little house symbol is. And then you also get to produce. So this is a produce action. Any 2 non-equal guilds. So basically 2 different guild types. The heroic one is, I think that's you're getting rid of an agenda card. So you discard an agenda to do this. Instead of gaining a corruption, you're just getting rid of an agenda, and it's basically the same action. It's interesting. I'm not sure how excited I am about that one. I don't have a lot of excitement about gaining corruption first thing in the game. I do understand. Well, so now the basic one, this lets you peek at the upcoming events. And that's why you don't put the guards away. So this lets you draw 2 event cards for cycle 2 or cycle 3, and then you get to pick which one's going to be on top. That's what this is. So that's why you don't want to. So remember how I made one consolidated and put the rest out of the game? Technically, those other cards, you could do this little peek action, and yeah. So anyways, that's temptation. That's interesting. And now let's do development, because that one's also heroic. And then there's conquest, which actually conquest we don't have. Because see, look at this. This replaces conquest. So since we don't have the conquest card, this, when we did setup, should never have been in the game. That should go out of the game, and then we replace it with another one, which is politics. Heroic politics is definitely interesting, because we just went through the politics card, right? I think we did. Yeah, we did. So that one, you can see this one has a lot more resource cost. It lets you move a track. Here, let me bring it back. This is going to take a while, folks, because there's a lot of action choices here. So this one lets you do the same thing, costs more resources, but then you also gain a trade token, which is awesome, because that lets you do 3 actions. Now, here's a cardinal rule. If I gain a trade token in the middle of my turn, I can't use it to get 3 actions at the same turn. But remember, there's 5 rounds, like I said. So the next round I can use that trade token. I just can't use it this round. So if I were to play this now, I still only get to do 2 of the 3. If I had that train token at the start of my turn, I could have done all 3. Anyways, this one here, you can see it actually changes. So so this would let us do an invade plus upgrade a glory token. This lets you do an invade and you actually remove a cube from the enemy. And then this one down here, see, you're gaining a trade token and moving a corruption. Here, you're removing a corruption. You're removing an installation, which that is a cost I can't pay. I don't have an installation to remove. So, oh, it's not your homeworld. So remove an installation from anywhere that's not your homeworld. I could remove a corruption from that sector, which doesn't do us any good. And then this is remove a harbinger, which that's super powerful. I don't think we're going to be able to use that, at least not at this point. So this is not a good time to play heroic politics. But we were going to talk about development, because development is an economic one, and we're an economic race or house, so let's look at that. So here, again, you're paying a material. You're going to gain a guild, which is awesome, or you're going to deploy a defense, or sorry, sector defense, and of course that's also awesome. Over here, you're going to spend twice the materials, and you get to gain a guild and increase the population together. Okay, that's awesome. Doesn't help us get rid of that card, but it's awesome. Here, you remove a fleet to gain a guild and gain a sector defense. Over here, you're going to lose 3 resources to gain a guild and gain 4 resources. So this is just all positive. Down here, you're going to lose a science to gain a population and or remove a corruption. Over here, I'm going to spend a science to remove a corruption and gain a sector defense in the same sector. That's what the equals means. So I can't remove so this is remove corruption from a sector. This is just remove any corruption anywhere. Okay, so we got some really nice options there. That heroic development is looking pretty sweet, if you ask me. My question is like, how can I limit myself to just doing 2 of these? I want to do all 3. And so what I could do theoretically is wait until next round, get a trade token this round, so that way I could do all 3 of these next round. That actually is a sweet little deal I think I want to do. Because I don't know if I want to like limit myself to just 2 of these. This is the only thing that doesn't benefit us at this moment. If we conquered a sector, then this would help us. We can get a sector defense out and remove a corruption in the sector that we just conquered. It's just that conquering a sector right now is going to be tough. So let's talk about that real quick. Like if we wanted to conquer a sector, how does that work? Well, remember, all battles are predetermined. So this is a nice sector to try to conquer. There's 2 ships here. And basically, we could move our ships in from both of these tiles in to attack. Now, you might think, okay, we have 3, they have 2, so we got the advantage. We would win. The problem is, if I were to do this, I'm abandoning this sector, which means that Voidborn fleets immediately arrive, and then this becomes corrupted, and we lose control of that sector. We don't want to do that. So the best I can do, I moved the wrong one. The best I can do is, you're allowed to abandon your home world. That part's okay. Best I could do is this, plus, that kind of situation, right? Where I have 2 of them, and I leave 1 behind. Well, 2 versus 2, they're going to just attack each other simultaneously and wipe each other out, and there's no advantage. So the only way I'm going to win this sector, or any of these sectors, right? Because there's 2 there, there's 2 there. I need a 3rd guy or some kind of other advantage. And there is no other advantage to get because we don't have carriers or anything like that. If I had shields, the technology, that would let me block, excuse me, I get to absorb the first hit, which is enough, because then my 2 guys would kill their 2 guys, and only one of my guys would die, because we'd absorb the first hit, but the second hit would get us. If I could have a 3rd guy, then I can win outright. So that would mean I'd have to recruit a guy and then attack, which is possible. So how do you do that? Well, there was the politics option, but this does not have recruit. That one lets you move up on this track, which does not let you recruit. So we would need to be able to recruit first. Now, there was another option for recruiting, this one, because I'm saying recruit, but it's building a ship. So you would create a ship from each of your shipyards, and so reinforcement would get you more ships. Now, there's also this conquest card, which is a house-specific conquest card. This is called Uplift, and it's called Bombard. There's the invasion. It costs 3 materials. I don't know what the rotating thing, I'll have to, well, here, the glossary will tell us what the Bombard card says. You just got to find it. That's always the problem. These cards are near the beginning. So this is House Nervo, Bombard. Spend 2 energy, right? So the cost is 2 energy. Then it says, oh, I'm reading the wrong one. Invade a sector. For every 3 additional materials you spend, you gain 1 approach or salvo absorption in the combat. So if I'm willing to spend 6 materials, I can absorb 2 hits. And then my 2 corvettes could win. That's really cool, actually. But I don't have 6 material, I only have 5 at the moment. So I could absorb 1 hit, and that still would get me a win. I would lose 1 corvette. And then, of course, here, the Analyze, I can gain an agenda for 1 credit, and here I can spend a science to remove a corruption and or produce credits. So I don't have a credit production at the moment, so it's not the perfect action to do, but it's a way that I could win this sector this turn and then have the ability to remove corruption and other stuff. It's interesting. Like I said, if we would have chosen a race that had like there's just not enough time to do everything you want to do in a game. Last one is Prosperity, which this is one of our house focus items. So we can move up on this track, which would give us 2 coins. This is produce any 1 type of resource. So we would choose the materials because we have 2 guilds of those. And then you get 2 of any type of resource. So you get both of those. And then this one here will let you gain an agenda and wow, so you get an agenda. So you have to lose a fleet cube plus spend resources. You'll gain an agenda and you gain a sector defense. So this alone could help us. We could move up a track and we can gain the sector defense. So there's a lot of ways to start this game. All right. I'm 1 hour in, and I haven't even taken my first turn. My apologies. So, do not play this game with analysis paralysis, people. I don't even consider myself one, and look at me, I just spent an hour. But these cards are intense. There's a lot of stuff going on. So, what is it that I want to do? is now the question. Oh, and then I also have this agenda here. This agenda lets me put a guild out and produce, but I have to do a production or whatever that is. So let's see. That would be a development. So I would need to do a development or a production action. And if I do either of those, then I get to play this agenda and I get that action. This is perfect. So I just need to find one. So the production action, we can move along the track and mitigate the card. So we can do production first. And then we can put out a guild and do another production. Yes. And the order we do our actions, we can do them in any order. So we can do this first here and then do these actions. So yeah, I'm going to play a production card. We're going to start with that. The other one was what again? Development. I like the development card. Don't get me wrong. But we're going to start with production. And that's right, because the development card is super nice. We want to do the heroic development. Okay, so here we go. 1 hour in. We're finally doing our first turn. Okay, so let me explain one more time in case I lost you. This agenda was a card that we got during setup. It's a wealth agenda card. To play this card, we must play either this action or this action, which we determined is a development action or a production action. We're going to play the production action, which allows us to play this agenda card. When we play this agenda card, we get this action as a bonus action, no matter what. So we're going to do this one first. Then, at the end of the turn, as long as we don't have another one of these in our agenda pile, I'm going to be able to put this agenda here, and then we'll be able to score points for every 2 trade tokens we have. If we have 2 or more trade tokens, we're going to get 3 points. And for this one, for every sector that has 0 influence or 0 upkeep, we're going to score 3. I don't know if this scoring opportunity is all that fantastic, but having it there is better than not having it there right now. So we're going to start the game with this action. We're playing the production, which allows us to do that. And mind you, just a reminder, if I use the house focus and do this card, I cannot play the agenda because the agenda does not go with this. It only goes with the physical copy. So I'm discarding this card to play it. And that's what's allowing me to do the agenda. Okay, a little confusing, but it does make sense. So here I'm going to produce a guild. And I'm going to produce it in my home sector. And I noticed that there was a lot of like energy production and coin production and things like that. So I want to definitely get that one of those out there. I already have a food one, at least it's not a home sector food, but it's somewhere. So I'm going to grab a coin production. And in the glossary, you're going to have to just trust me because I don't want to spend another hour. It says you may establish up to 2 additional on your home sector, not occupying the usual guild spaces. So what it explained is, so for example, if I build this here, I'm now going to have upkeep on my home world. But this card lets me produce it extra. And I don't have to fill that spot. It's my choice where I put it. So I can put 2 more out here and have a total of 3. This would be the 4th one. So I don't have to endure the upkeep. I can even, if I wanted, the rules allow me to do that. And it's 6 or 1/2 dozen in my mind, so I'm just leaving that there for now. So, okay, so we got coin production thing. And then this, where it shows, this is produce 1 type of resource. It's not all resources, it's 1 type. But we're still going to do it, and we're going to, and then see the equal sign is in the same sector. So what we're going to do is we're going to produce, materials. All right. So our materials, produces 3. So we're going to go ahead and this gets 1, 2, 3. And then because we just put a coin there and our population in the home sector is 3, we now have 1, 2, 3. Oh, I know what it's saying. I don't get to produce this. I'm going to get to produce that. And that's fine because coins can count as anything. So we're going to go ahead and do 1, 2, I'm sorry. We only get 1. So we now have 3 coins. We produce 1. So now we're at 4. I got to be really careful here. So that's what that equal sign means. That equal sign is saying whatever guild you place, that's the one you produce. That's what that equal sign means. So I placed a coin, so I produced coins. If I would have placed another material, I'm allowed to. And then that would allow me to add 3 more material guilds strength to my production. Then I could have produced materials. And in some ways I sort of want to, but this still is going to meet our goal. Now, another important thing. I told you that we're going to get to put this agenda card here. It is technically not there yet. It's not there until the end of we go through the rest of our turn. So it's not there yet. It will be soon. But for terms of like resolving events or other things like that, it's not there yet. So if you're trying to like resolve something, like maybe you need to have 2 agenda cards in your that are active in order to make a crisis go away. I don't have 2 agenda cards active yet, so I can't make that crisis go away yet. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, so then what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 of these, and I just got to pick which 2. And I think we're going to do, we're going to do the middle one, which is going to cost us 2 material. So we're going to drop to 1. All right, and that allows us to move the middle track, which is this one. And that lets us build a sector defense and or increase power. So I'm going to increase the power. And then we get to build a sector defense. Okay. And I'm going to put that here because there's no room for a sector defense in your home world. But we'll put it there. And then we have to spend, according to the crisis, we have to spend 1 energy, and then that's going to get rid of the crisis card. So, boom, we mitigated the crisis. We just have to spend 1 energy, and I'll go ahead and do that right now. Done. Okay, so that was our first of 2 actions. The other one we're going to do is the top one. So we're going to get to advance on this track, which means we're going to gain 2 coins, which is perfect. 2 coins is universal. So we're up to 6. And then we're going to produce material, which is also perfect because we're down to 1 and we produce 3. So let's get that sucker back up to 4. All right, so there you go. We just did 1 turn, and then this goes into our discard pile. And I really like the fact that we moved 2 of our tracks up. And so let's go back over here and talk about the symbology. So this was drawing the card, which we did. And then this was mitigating the card, that part at the bottom, which we did. This is telling us to do 2 actions. Play a focus card and do 2 actions on the focus card. This is saying spend a trade token to do a 3rd action on that focus card, which we did not do. This is saying we can play an agenda, which we did. And then now we get to choose we have to do something with that agenda. It's either going to go back into the agenda discard pile, which just is the bottom of the deck, or we can play it in our tableau. Right here. Step 3. This is saying, do we have more than 1 of the same fleet type in a sector? If so, we have to get rid of them. This is saying we can't have more than 4 glory cubes, or tokens. Glory tokens being these things. This is saying we can put an agenda in our player board, but only if it's a unique type. We have a wealth type. And then this is saying if we have a trade token, we can put it on an agenda. We don't have any trade tokens yet. So I'm going to go ahead and do this right now. And we're going to go ahead and slide this on like so. And then now we have that agenda there. And like I said, that is a little wealth symbol. So it's showing that it's a wealth type. So what that means is I just can't have 2 more wealth agendas here, or even 1 more. Okay. Another thing we got to bear in mind is, like, on our player board here, it shows that whenever the Voidborn do their attack step, they add +1 to their power times the corruption that's on our player board. Right now we have 1 corruption. So so that would add 1 more power to their strength whenever they attack us. So that's something else we gotta consider. Okay, so one more thing. This. In order to put a cube here, we have to either have produce 2 resources that overproduce, meaning we go over 15 during a produce action. If we do that with 2 resources during the same action, then we get to put a cube here. And it comes from your inactive cubes. If we get to the 4th level of the sector track here, we get to put a cube here. Or for every uncorrupt sector with 6 population and 3 or more guilds, we get to put 1 there. And so those are the 3 ways you can put cubes on these. I'm only mentioning it because it's something you have to plan for if you want to mitigate the safe havens. Okay, so we did this here. So then now we got to do the 4th part. And so what this is saying is, if that crisis card was still there, we can in order to eliminate it, we either do the bad piece or we have to put it on the track. And then this is a symbol for a war card, which we didn't draw. Or, I mentioned that if we get 3 of these, if we get a 4th one of these, we die. Let's say that this card was here, and it's going to go there if we didn't mitigate it. Let's say we didn't want that, and then we also didn't want to do the penalty at the bottom. We can choose to just kill it, but then we take 1 of these tokens. And so then that's 1/4 of the way towards losing the game, and it also gives them 20 points. Okay, but when you take those tokens, it doesn't say it anywhere on here, but oh yeah, it does right here. When you take 1 of those 3 tokens, you get to remove a corruption from somewhere, or you gain 5 resources. So you do get a benefit for taking 1 of those tokens, but you are giving them 20 points. All right, so that was 1 of our 5 rounds. So now we go to round 2. Round 2, very simple. We know it's going to be a 1. So I'm going to just draw the card. Let's take a look. Before you advance a track, choose to also spend 2 coins. It gets rid of the card. Okay, I'm sorry I took an interruption there. So again, just refreshing for me. I don't have the ability. So what this would be is, like, if we don't resolve this card and we want to take the penalty, we're going to take 2 bounties from sectors that are on the board and get rid of them. So which means we're not going to get those bounties if we were to ever, take control of those sectors. Spending 2 coins when we advance a track is not the worst thing in the world. I just don't know if we're going to do it this particular round. I'm actually contemplating doing the uplift here and conquering a sector. The problem with conquering a sector, of course, is that we are stretching our troops a little thin, but we can do it. I'm just thinking real quick. So, okay, so here's where my thoughts are. This uplift thing lets me spend 3 resources to reduce a hit. I can go here with just 1, so they're 2 to 1. And per the, there's no sector defense. So the sector defense doesn't do anything. And there's no star base, so this doesn't do anything. So then it just becomes here. So for every 1 Corvette you have what's called initiative or whatever. So whoever has the higher initiative goes first. So in this case, they have 2, we have 1. So they would go first and they would shoot us and destroy our 1 ship. But if I spend the 3 resources, I block it. And then we get to shoot them. So we destroy their 1 ship. Because it doesn't matter how many ships you have. You only destroy 1 ship at a time. And it doesn't matter how many ships they have. They only destroy 1 of ours at a time. So then they get to go again. And, well, actually, we start over, and now it's tied 1-1. So now we shoot simultaneously. Well, in this case, I would have to spend another 3 resources to block again, and then I would kill them. And with 1 single Corvette, I can take over that sector. And there is advantages to getting a hold of these sectors early. First of all, we're going to score some points. This is going to be a problem. That's going to cause us to do something, and I have to look up what that is. In fact, let me look it up now. Yeah, so if I defeat this sector, this Harbinger is going to be placed on our crisis board, and we can choose to place it on the military or the other, and it's going to count like a permanent crisis card that's there, unless we come up with some kind of way to remove the Harbinger. So I don't know if this is the right thing to do, because I feel like I'm stretching myself thin, but we don't need to have troops in our homeworld. I also don't like that the Voidborn's next to our homeworld, so I'm feeling like I want to conquer this one more than anything. We could try to conquer the one way up there, because it actually has a guild that we would take over. But I think I'm going to try to conquer this one. And we're going to do exactly that. So we're going to play our uplift. And here it says 3 material blocks, or gives you an absorption. I'm allowed to use, for this card, the same multiple absorptions on the same Corvette. So I can, absorb more than 1 hit. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I just went through, remember, combat's predetermined. So if you're doing the action, you can pre-calculate, are you going to win or aren't you? And we just did. So I have to spend 6 material to pull it off. But if I spend my 6 material, I can block all the hits. I'm basically immune. As long as I can spend material, I'm immune. And I will defeat both of those. So, sorry, I just received a text. But let me take that off and I'm sorry. Okay, resuming regularly scheduled programming. All right. So I have to spend 6 resources. So let's do that. Here you can see I have 4 materials. So I'm going to go ahead and spend all those. And then I'm going to spend 2 coins, because the coins count as materials for everything except for upkeep. And then, of course, the materials can count as everything else as well, with our special abilities, but we're going to go ahead and do it that way. And that allows us to have 2 absorption. So, pew pew, they shoot at us first, we absorb it, and then we kill one of them, and then they shoot again, and then we shoot again, and we absorb the second one, and we kill the last of the Mohicans here. So the Voidborn is destroyed. I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. We're going to gain the 2 glory. So now we have 5 glory. that we add right now. So this becomes 15. All right, so we're up to 15 points. And then this Harbinger, of course, is angry with us. So we're going to go ahead and put it on the economy track there. So it basically counts as if there was a card there permanently. There are ways to get rid of Harbingers, but unless I do that, it's always going to be there. And then we gain this token. And whatever it says, we get. This is a bounty token. And we do keep bounty tokens here, because sometimes you get to exchange them for something. So here we go. So I get one of these two resources, a food and a material. I'm just not getting a good, okay, here. I learned this trick. If you do that, it focuses better. All right, so I get one of those two resources, or I gain a point. Well, I'm going to take the two resources, food and material. And then this token just becomes a part of our collection here. And like I said, there's certain times where we might be able to spend those to resolve crisis, for example. So we're going to go ahead and take one of these and then one of those. All right, we're not done. We get to do one more action on here. So we did that one. I'm not sure I want to get an agenda, but we could spend a coin for that. Oh, we had to spend 2 energy as well, which we do have. So now we're down to 0 energy. We could spend a science. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend 1 science, so we're down to 2. Reduce that down to 2. And we're going to remove a corruption and produce coins. And we happen to have 3 coin production, which produces 1 coin. And you know what? I'm going to remove that coin and make sure we have at least 1 energy. Because sometimes there's situations where you need to spend energy and you can't use coins as a substitute. So I'm going to leave 1 and use the substitute now while I can. So that was for when I had to spend the 2 coins for that action. All right, so we spent the science, and now coins don't substitute for science. We're going to remove a corruption. I already did this, but let's remove the corruption. And of course, we're going to remove this corruption right here. Or I can remove the one on my board. Oh, that's interesting. You know what? I don't have any production going on here yet. I'm going to remove the one that's on my board, because that reduces the amount of Voidborn that attacks us here. See, this says there's 1 additional Voidborn fleet attacks us for every corruption that's on our board. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the turn. We had no agenda card, so there's nothing there to deal with. We did not mitigate the crisis card. So now the crisis card is a commercial one, so it's going to go here. And what that means is when we have to resolve things on this crisis board, we're going to owe 1 of each of these 3 resources until I get rid of this. Now this I can get rid of the moment I advance on the track, but I haven't done that yet. All right, so we've done 2 of our 5 actions. So now we're going to go ahead and go to turn 3. I wish there was a tracker. Like, how do I know that I'm on the 3rd? I guess the way you know is we should be keeping these. This is how we would know. We've played 2 of these so far. So here we go. Here's the 3rd one. And that means we're getting... Okay, so this one is remove a corruption from a track or move a corruption to a track. Ugh, that's horrible. Otherwise, we gain a corruption. That is not a nice one at all. I don't like that one. Okay. So maybe there's some kind of weird way where we could put a corruption on the track and then remove it like immediately after. I don't know. Like for example, right here, remove a corruption. So like if I was able to move this thing 2 spaces. I could put a corruption on a track down here, move this one 2 spaces, and then remove that corruption, and then I could get rid of that card. That's it's an interesting idea, but I just don't see it in practice. Just to move that track, I mean, I guess there's a way here. Yeah, we missed our opportunity to even do that. That's the only way. We only move it once and not twice. Okay, now we could do something like this where we put it on the track and then we move it off the track with this. And then, you know, it's somewhere else, but I don't really want to do that either. Oh, the heroic politics lets you completely remove it from, oh. How do we get a corruption on our track? That would be the next thing, because if we moved a corruption to our track, then we can use heroic politics to get rid of it. Heroic development also works. So how do we do this? We need to gain a corruption. So one of the ways to do that is temptation, because then we can move along a track, we gain a corruption, we move along a track, and we have the heroic temptation, which oh yes. This one, you put that on a track, and then you can advance the track that you put it on. It's optional, you don't have to do it. So I can put it on a track and then advance another track. So now it's on the track. And then later I can get rid of the card because I have heroic development, lets me get rid of the card, or there's also heroic politics, lets me get rid of the harbinger. See that right there? So these heroic cards could save the day. Okay, I'm going to do this. We're going to do heroic temptation. So we discard the temptation card, but we don't do the temptation action. We do the heroic temptation action. The 2 actions we're going to do are, well, we could do this one, which is produce 2 different resources. See, that requires us to lose an agenda. I don't know if I want to do that. I think we're going to do this one. So spend 4 resources, but we get 4. And just to confirm for you, we have 4 coins. We also have 6 food. So you pick. Whatever 4 we spend, I'm just going to get those right back. I could choose material instead, but I'm just going to leave it the way it is. So whatever 4 I spend is the 4 I'm going to get back. Then we're going to do 1 action on another card, but it's a focus card. So it's either the production or the prosperity. Well, prosperity, we can do this. We can do a produce action and then gain 2 resources. Or we can gain an agenda and build another one of those, but that costs us something, right? Or the production one lets us move up a track and produce. Because if we are going to produce, this is probably the one I will produce. So they're more or less the same. This one lets us do both, whereas this is, I gain more resources this way, but it's 2 different actions, so I'd rather do this one. So I'm going to keep the prosperity, of course, in my hand. I haven't played that yet, but we're going to, for our 1 action, we're going to do this. We're going to move up this track, and that lets us place a guild. So that's perfect. We want to get another guild out there, right? So which one do we want to get out there now? We have food, we have materials, we have, let's get an energy guild. And now we got our 3rd guild in our home world there. All right, so we got an energy guild now. And what else is it? Now we're going to produce materials. So the materials for us is 3. So 1, 2, 3. And that is this one, resolved. So now we got to do one of the other ones. So this one's going to let us put a corruption on our track. So I think, is it gain a production or, yeah, I'm assuming it's a gain. So we're going to have to gain one from the game board. And I'm going to go ahead and put it on the track we just moved. And then we could increase that one. If we do, we gain a, we're going to gain a trade token, but this would block that. So I'm not sure I want to do that. Or we can move a different track. So this one here would let us gain a population. This one let us gain another guild. I'm going to go ahead and move this one, and we're going to gain the population. And so the population we're going to gain is right here. We're going to do it on the home world. So that now means we have 4, 4, and 4. So this becomes a 6. So now we produce 4 materials. I forgot to do the energy one. This should be a 4, right? And then the credits becomes a 4. Okay. All right, so why did I do all that? Several reasons. I'm trying to get rid of these cards. So we just advanced on the track. I chose not to do the top half. So we didn't advance this one because I didn't want to miss out on the bonus. But I did do that one. Why? Well, we got a bonus. We get to increase our population. So that part's good. And then, of course, once you're done, the card gets discarded. But here's the big one. Before you advance, you can also spend 2 coins, and that gets rid of this card. So boom, we just did that. And I have to spend the coins. There you go. And so we just got rid of a card. All right. So now we're on turn 4. So this is going to come out, and we're going to have to put it here. Turn 4, of course, is going to be another 1. And this time it says, while resolving a production focus, choose to remove 2 of those from a sector twice. Ooh. Or just lose 1 of each resource. This one I may just choose to lose the resources. Okay, so we're on turn 4 out of 5. And I basically want to do all the heroic actions now. The politics one is the next one that's on my radar. And what I want to do is we're going to do heroic politics. I'm going to spend 2 money and 1 science. And you know what? Instead of a energy, I want to put a science one out. And my apologies, I'm going to do that. I never collected energy or anything, but I got to take the energy, put it back to 0. And then we're going to put the science up to 4. Because I just realized coins don't buy you science. Okay. So 2 coins, 1 science. I happen to have exactly that. 2 coins and 1 science. I have another science left over. You get to move up 1 on this track. So we're going to do that, and that lets us build another guild. So I can get that energy guild out now. And why not? Let's do that. So the energy guild, I am going to have to deal with upkeep now, but now I got it, that energy guild that I just removed. Have it back. And we gain a trade token. So that's the all-elusive trade token we've been gunning for. So you always take the bottommost trade token, which is this one. So we can choose to gain a science, or we can choose to gain a what do you call that? A bounty token. We actually could use both, but I'm going to go ahead and take the bounty token because I think we might get uses for that later. So here we go. And this lets us get one of anything. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and take one science. So now we got two bounty tokens over here. This trade token at the end of the turn, we can just choose to put it on here to cover up those two, what do you call it? Upkeep. Or I could then use it to do all three actions of a particular card. But not this turn. It has to be next turn. We are on turn 4 out of 5 right now. So we did that, and then I'm going to do this one. So this says on your non-home world, destroy a installation. So I'm going to go ahead and destroy that installation right there. And then what I get to do is I get to remove a corruption from a sector, but it doesn't have to be the same sector. And then I get to remove a harbinger. So that is huge. So the harbinger one is the big one. We're going to remove this one. It's now out of the game and not bothering us. And then we're going to remove the corruption from the sector right there. Oh, that doesn't let me remove corruption from my board. So what I was planning on doing is I was planning on doing this last and just cranking out a bunch of economy here. But see, that's remove a corruption from a sector. That's not what I wanted exactly, but because I'm stuck with this corruption on my board. But it is what it is. I got my trade token right here, and now we go, this particular one requires us to lose 3 resources, 1 food, 1 energy, and 1 material. And I'm gonna do that so we don't keep the card. Here's 1 food, and I'm gonna lose 2 material, one of them to cover the energy. I'm gonna keep that 1 energy. Okay, so I was gonna do heroic development because that let me, well, see, look, the regular development card lets me remove corruption from anywhere. Heroic development is remove corruption from a sector. So that's not the same. Let me make sure. Because it would be nice. Yeah, this is remove corruption. And then if it's, yeah, it's remove corruption on a sector is the other one. So it's funny how the heroic one is actually not as good. We got to remove the corruption, or otherwise we're not going to lose that card. And it's clogging up our track. So we do have that with our regular development action. Or we can, how else can, we can move it with a politics action. And I don't want to do that. This is just like our heroic development one. In fact, that's the only way, is to do harmonize right here. So that's going to cost us a science to do. The heroic development, which I wanted to do, yeah, I just can't. There's no other way. That's a bummer. I really wanted to, look at that, 2 guilds were going to be placed. Although we're maxed out on our guilds right now. We got to upgrade our tech science. We actually can't produce any more guilds, at least not in that particular province, the home province. We can do it elsewhere. Yeah, I can't do it. So we'll just have to bypass on that. We'll do a regular development as our 5th action, or yeah, we're on our 5th turn. And, but we gotta, before we do that, we gotta draw a card. So it's a 1, of course. This one, after you build a installation in a non-corrupted area, choose to also decrease the population in the same sector, or we can just reduce one of our cubes. Go from here to there. Ooh, that's a tough one too. Reducing a population sucks. Okay. So we got this development action here. And are we going to do 2 or 3? Because actually, look, there's guild producing right there. This requires us to lose a fleet cube, which I'm not a big fan of. I'll spend 1 material and 1 science, and we're gonna do, we could place a guild or we can place an installation. I think I gotta start thinking about, like, how are these guys going to attack us? So I may have to place an installation to protect my troops from being destroyed. That's the issue I have. So we're going to get attacked. And I only have 1 Corvette here. And that's the problem. How many are going to attack us is the question. And actually it's going to be, well, I'm gonna get rid of this corruption, so we're not gonna add 1 here. The attack is determined by this, actually. So, see, there's nothing here. So there's gonna be no troops attacking me this round. Now, if we're in cycle 2 and 3, this is the step where we get attacked, by the way. So it's saying use the crisis board to determine how many troops. And then we're gonna add 1 troop or 1 fleet for them if it's cycle 2 or 3. So we don't have any fleets because it's cycle 1. So I think we're okay. And if we get rid of this here, they won't have any fleets. I think we're gonna survive this. So then it becomes, I may wanna just get a guild out. Okay, I'm gonna spend a material. That reduces us down to 1. And I gotta make my mind up there. Here, I'm gonna spend a science, and I absolutely need to get rid of that. So we're down to 1 science. We're gonna get rid of this. So then it becomes, do I want an installation or do I want a guild? And I think, I mean, we're all about the guilds here. So I'm gonna put a guild here, and again, it's gonna be materials, and that's a 3. So that's gonna give us 3 more materials on the track. So this 6 now becomes 7, 8, 9, and you can see we now produce 6 materials with a production action, and that's what we want. All right, that brings us to the end. This here, I am going to mitigate by doing this action. So we're gonna take one of these cubes and move it back. That's what that means. And so we're gonna get rid of the card that way. And then we got rid of this from the track, so that allows us to get rid of that card. So our corruption board is clean. And so we're done with phase B. This event is now resolved and over with. I don't know a good place to put it. Put it over here. So now we're moving on to phase C. So the issue here is, so if there was a war, it is possible that a war would occur here as a result of phase B, but there was no war cards drawn. And there would never be, because we were only drawing level 1 crisis cards. So here, we now have to get invaded by the Voidborn. So who are the Voidborn going to attack? they're going to attack whichever sector is going to provide them the most benefit. So and it has to be adjacent to them. So it's one of these two sectors, and this one we're weaker in, so they're going to attack this. Plus, they also value the higher population. There's a priority list that we can always pull up if it's under debate, but this is easy. They're going to go after the one that's going to give them the best results. And so the lower corvette is, of course, the better result. So the number of troops is going to be the rightmost empty space. See here, there's one troop, or when I say troop, it's synonymous with fleets. It's 0. Then we add 0 because of this, and we add 0 because of this, because we got rid of all of our corruption on our board. So there's 0 fleets. So you would say, hey, there's no attack. Per the game rules, an attack did occur. It's just that there were 0 fleets, so we won. And that's important because if there's some kind of loss, like if you defend, an attack, then this happens to you, that triggers right now. I don't have any of those effects that I'm aware of, so I don't think I need to trigger that at this point. But I just wanted to make sure you understood from a rules perspective, a battle did occur. It's just that it's a battle that we defended successfully against 0 units. So I don't know, maybe some crazy Allahu Akbar person, and we got him caught at the border or something like that. I don't know. So then the next thing we have to do is we're resolving the crisis board completely. That means at the bottom, we have to pay whatever resources is rightmost, and in this case, it's 0. So see, mitigating those crisis cards was extremely important for reducing how much it's going to cost us at this stage. But that is the first step of stage C, or phase C. Next, we go to the second step. We got to count our upkeep and then pay for the upkeep. So what that means is if I had an installation here, that would cost me 1 upkeep. So there's no upkeep here, no upkeep here, 1 there, because I have a guild in that location. And then down here, I have 2 upkeep from that agenda. So that's 3 total upkeep. So to pay for the upkeep, I must pay for each upkeep either 1 food or any combination of 2 energy or materials. So it could be 2 energy, 2 materials, 1 energy, 1 material, and I cannot use coins at this stage. And everywhere that I fail to pay, I have to lose 3 victory points. So in this situation, we have 3 upkeep, we have 5 food, I'm just going to spend 3, now we're down to 2 food and we're good to go. So easy peasy for us there. Okay, next phase. Oh, and then right here is where it tells you. I'm sitting here telling you from memory, right there, it's either 1 food or 2 combination of these for every upkeep. So we had 3, and that trade token actually blocked 2 upkeep points. So getting that trade token was very valuable. Then, yeah, here it's saying your penalty. So then this one here is, this is letting you know that you can move to the safe haven if you have a non-corrupted 6 population with 3 guilds. We don't have anything with 6 population, so that's not happening. And then here we're going to score for the event, and then here we're going to score for the last one. We score for our agendas. So I actually got to grab that event card. I prematurely put it away. It was the Time of Reckoning card. And I didn't even pay attention to this. So if I have 3 or more corruption, or I'm sorry, upkeep in a sector, I get to choose one of these. I can increase my population. So I only have, I don't think the upkeep on your player board counts. And we can look this up. This one is 3 or more glory. And I happen to have 5 glory. And one of them happens to say a 3. So then that would equal, we get 2 bounty tokens. So let's look it up and make sure I'm not misunderstanding that. It's the Time of Reckoning. The glossary is fantastic for these kind of things, and it's a cycle 1 event, Time of Reckoning. So let's see, objectives. If you have 3 or more upkeep from sectors, so any sectors, you add up all your sectors, then increase a pure population. Or if you have 3 or more glory tokens, oh, you need 3 tokens. The tokens can be of any value. I only have 2. Oh my gosh, I got none of it. I got nothing, folks. Well, that's what I get for not paying attention. Although that one actually was a little tough. The only thing I could have maybe done was try to figure out how to get another glory token. But even that was a tough order. So then we score for our agendas. This one is, do I have 8 or more of any resource? And the answer is no. I don't have 8 or more of anything. This one is, do I have a pure sector with 3 or more guilds? And I do. And in fact, I got 4 guilds on that one in the home sector. So we're going to gain 5 glory for that. Or 5, what do you call it? Fame. There you go, 20 points. Influence, that's the word I'm looking for. Do I have 2 or more trade tokens? No, I do not. Do I have an uncorrupted sector that produces 0 influence? Yes. For every one, I get 3. I actually have 2 of them, this one and that one. So that's 6 points. So I ignored the event card, but my agenda cards were, I don't know, in my book, semi-lucrative. I am up to 26 points. I got to get to 60 to beat this guy, and then he's going to get other bonuses on top of it. But I think 26 points, we're 1/3 of the way through the game. That's the end of the 1 cycle. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome. I hope I didn't make too many mistakes. I actually feel really good that, you know, about this. I obviously, the one humbling thing about doing videos is like, I think I'm playing this great, and then somebody's going to be like, you forgot this. And it's like, oh, okay. But am I having fun? Absolutely. This is such a brain-burning game. I'm trying to figure out how to introduce this to my friends because they don't like games that are, I mean, this is going to take an hour just to explain how to play before we can even start. And that's a problem. But anyways, thanks for watching. As always, stay awesome.